thankfully I'm coming up to having this shoe completely resurfaced. It's been a grueling task, and I'm on the final sort of stage, the final cut now. If you've watched the previous videos, you'll have seen me using these various sort of grades. That one's 40 grit, that one's 120, 240 I think that one, and this one's 400. I've not done the 400 yet. It's very smooth. To touch with the fingers, you won't be able to feel much difference, if any difference, between the previous cut, which I think was 240, I beg your pardon, and this 400. It won't feel that much difference, and it won't look that much difference, but there will be a difference once you come to the polishing. Yeah, the polishing will pick up the difference, but you can't feel it or see it with the naked eye. It gets a lot easier once you're at this stage. I'm not actually trying to cut any grotty, dreadful skin away. That was all done in the previous cuts, but nonetheless, it still takes a lot of time. I'll probably spend about an hour just gradually, very, very, very slowly working over, avoiding the stitches. The funny thing is, it doesn't feel any different. It doesn't look any different. It's it's finer than what you can feel with the tips of your fingers, and it's certainly almost finer than what you can see with the naked eye, but it will make a difference when it comes to the polishing. But only at that stage, when you come to the polishing, would you notice the difference. So it's a repetitive process. I'm not going to just keep going over it and over it, and it's awfully boring to watch. But with that 400, I will go all over the whole skin. But I do need to be doing the edges. I've already done a little bit, and I don't want to lose, as I mentioned in the previous film, there's a tiny little chamfer on the edge there, and if I don't keep this paper flat, it will round off. So this is quite sharp. I think that's probably, I'm not sure what it is. Oh, it's 120. It's quite sharp, but I don't want to go mad. It's I could use a sharper one, but this is sharp enough. Let's do this side. So I lay it flat and just use my finger here as a guide. What I don't want is the paper to go round the corner, over the edge, or to be touching the skin here. I just need to measure it carefully so that if I bring it close enough, you'll be able to see that I'm not actually going to be touching that chamfer. I'll go up to the chamfer, and then have to be careful because the friction on my finger here, because it's rubbing the bottom of the shoe, it can burn me. But I'm doing this with my fingers rather than, I could do it with the tool, but I can't feel anything with the tool. I would definitely lose the edge. So just need to, this is old polish, old sort of edge dressing and dirt and scratches, and so I'll do it with the sharp paper, and then I'll go for a slightly finer paper. This one's 320. It's exactly the same though. I'll make a nice clean edge and use my thumb resting on the sole as a guide, just so that I can't go too high. There's nothing more to it. It's just, and then I'll finally finish. I don't have any to hand. I've got some 400 somewhere, but I also need to do the same on the heels as well. The heels are a bit of a mess, and there's tiny, or at least there would have been, but it's largely worn off. Would have been a bit of tooling. It's just the tiny little marks for the wheel that George Cleverly would have put on, but over the years it's been rubbed and buffed and polished, and that's sort of been lost, if I'm honest with you. So I'm not too worried about trying to save it, because it's pretty much lost before we start. So but that's a very delicate heel. It chamfers off beautifully, and I'm just going to rub with a sharp, what did I say that was, 120 I think, quite sharp. And it clogs the paper very, very, very quickly. So I'll look for a new bit of paper that isn't clogged. And I'm just making sure I don't touch the actual the body of the skin here. It's a repetitive and tedious process. And then I'll go for a finer paper when I've obviously done the whole cut, and cut it with 320, and I'll finally finish it. And I'll do all along here. This has already been done. I did the other side on camera. But I think that's been done with the 120, so this is 320. Just to get a reasonable, smooth, clean finish. And then as I dye the shoe, I'll dye the edge as well, and then moisturise it. And so it's only skin, so it does need treatment. But if you look at this grotty mess, all that's got to come off. I think that's enough anyway. Well, it's awfully tedious.